you guys doing? Okay, so doing a lot of research on Canada Nickel Company, and I got a lot of information. Edited out a lot of the stuff that was completely unnecessary. Took it from like an hour and 20 minutes down to like 35 minutes, something like that. It was absolutely insane. With all that being said, so let's get the show on the road. So on Canada Nickel Company, I've been watching a lot of videos on Mark Selby, and it's really interesting, really interesting to how can I say, to hear this guy talk. I mean, he's brought a mine into complete development. So being a CEO of the company here is a very interesting thing within itself, because he knows how to do the whole process. He knows how to do the whole process, and this is really important, because forget about just the fact that he's doing the process of to build it up and everything like that, but he understands what investors are looking for, right? He knows what the companies need and want. What I found also very interesting from what Mark Selby was explaining, and this was on, this is from the interviews that, and I'll put up the links. Actually, I'll even link the channel. The interviews that were being taking place with Mark Selby, and Mark Selby was saying how you shouldn't be looking at so much so of class 1 and class 2 nickel. Now, we've been hearing a lot of talk about class 1 and class 2, right? Because you want to go for the class 1 for the EVs and everything. But what Mark Selby was explaining is that through the refining process, you can pretty much achieve what you need to achieve. And what Mark Selby is stating is that what's really important is the size of the mine, the amount of nickel. Because a lot of these corporations want to go to one place for decades and decades, and as much as possible. So you're looking at infrastructure. This is a big one, because I did some research on infrastructure, and I looked at the timeline of producing a mine. And if there's no infrastructure in place, I mean, this could take years, like years. And depending on where it is, it could take. So, I mean, where do you go with that? Now, when you look at Canada Nickel Company in the Timmins region in Ontario, I mean, you got Glencore that's over there. You have just north of Timmins, you have the roads, you have the infrastructure, you have the hydroelectricity. Everything is there already. You have that, and it seems like they might be sitting on a massive amount of nickel. Right now, one of the top 10 and one of the biggest discoveries since, I think it was the 1960s or something like that, but we're going to go through that. Well, let's get into a little bit of this. All right, let's get into a little bit of this. Okay, so let's take a look here. So we have here Canada Nickel Company delivering the next generation of nickel sulfide projects, advancing the Crawford nickel cobalt sulfide discovery, large scale potential in the established Timmins mining camp. Basically, Canada Nickel is advancing the next generation of high quality, high potential nickel cobalt projects to deliver the metals needed to power the electric vehicles revolution. So it's to power the electric vehicle revolution. Okay, so we already know that, and this is the importance here, and feed the high growth stainless steel market, which has been growing over. This nickel's been growing at 5%, a little over 5%, and it's mostly driven by the stainless steel industry. So this is quite important, because basically we how can I say it? The EV market is like, it's like not even. They're saying if there's just not enough nickel. If Tesla alone continues at this pace, there's just not enough nickel. Anyway, let's continue with this. So Canada Nickel makes third new discovery at Crawford Nickel Sulfide. This is on October 22nd. Canada Nickel announced a significant mineral resource update, which was on the 21st. So imagine, and in one day, they're like, wow, we got significant mineral resource update. And then the next day, boom, they hit something else. That's just crazy. Canonical Company Inc. closes a second tranche of bought deal private placement of $5 million of flow through shares. All right, so they have cash on hand and they're debt free. So let's go and take a look at what I found is interesting here. So this came out July 14th. Now remember, I'm just going and taking a look at this to show you, because even if the news is a little older, just imagine this was in July that was written here, and I'll just imagine the size of what they have already. So does nickel and Timmins have a glamour of gold? There have been significant nickel finds in the rock formations around the famed northeastern Ontario mining camp, but the production results always fell short of expectations. But Canal Nickel Company Crawford Nickel Cobalt Sulfide Project could quickly be changing that narrative. Held by one of the world's foremost nickel experts, okay, which is Mark Selby, which we've been saying, all right, believes that 4,900 hectare property 40 kilometers north of Timmins has a potential to be a world-class district-scale deposit. We're looking at something where this could become the largest nickel sulfide mine in the world. Hold on a second. So Mark Selby, all right, who is like helmed to be one of the world's foremost nickel experts, and if you look at this guy's background, Inco, RNC, and he's brought like, you know, one into full development. And when you listen to this guy talk about nickel, like it's like breathing for him. All right, it's like that's how long he's been in it. It's a no-brainer. So if he goes out and puts his words out like this, saying we are looking at something where this could become the largest nickel sulfide mine in the world, short of one mine in Russia, which is, you know, I can't even pronounce the name of that one, but this is crazy because the one in Russia is massive and found in the early 1900s, Norwisk, something like that. And it's just huge. This has been going on like forever. God, when did they get the furnace running? I don't remember, but 1940s was already producing for World War II to put nickel and stuff and alloys inside their tanks. And so it was like 1930s. I don't remember. You know what? A long damn time. So imagine if they're comparing it to that one. So let's keep on going. So the first phase of mining will be producing 30,000 to 35,000 tons initially, with more than enough resources there to double up production. Well, we know that because this is July 14th, right? The Toronto-based mine developer started preliminary PEA in June of Crawford, due by year's end, and then proceed to feasibility study that by the end of 2021. Okay, and the reason why Mark Selby is doing all this quick is because he knows he's got to tap into the EV market, and he's got to do it now. And this is from actually. Listening to what is being said. So on his interviews. So earlier this year, the fledgling nickel company turned some heads and proclaimed it was sitting on the world's 12th largest resource of nickel sulfide. That's dropped down to the 10th, or within the 10s. I'll show you that later. So Spring has led to separate discovery of a zone of palladium group metals, followed in June by more encouraging drill results in the main zone and grades. Okay, so new nickel sulfide discoveries are really rare, and new palladium platinum discoveries are also pretty rare, said Selby. And earlier it was exciting on both fronts. Yeah, okay, so let's go. So yeah, the area yields good geological genetics, and it's just north of Glencore's Kidd Creek copper zinc, the world's deepest base metal operation. So, you know, I mean, like, look, it's already, you know, Glencore has like the world's deepest base metal operation when it comes to this. It's a mineral-rich environment with multiple deposits and showings of gold, copper, cobalt, and base metals that has noble receptive to securing more development partners. The unexplored area has been owned by a forestry company until 2011. The last time Crawford had such systemic workup was in the mid-1960s after the Kidd Creek discovery, said Selby. Inco flew airborne surveys over huge swaths of Northern Ontario, charting every big magnetic anomaly, then punching one or two drill holes in each one. So think about it. Is it possible to, you know, maybe he already, because he's been in the nickel so long that he, you know, his brain went, oh, I remember something over there. Look at this. In the 1960s, after Kidd Creek had said Inco flew airborne surveys over huge swaths of Northern Ontario, charting every big and then punching 1 or 2 drill holes in each one. You know, if he remembered something like that, you know, he's highly intelligent. Those results didn't amount to anything impressive, so it sat for decades until Noble came onto the scene. So past experience, you know, it's just clipping making the discovery. They now have a better understanding of geological picture than even a decade ago. Before hauling in the drill rigs in 2018. So look, drill rigs, 2018, Noble and its partner Spruce Ridge Resources applied a full suite of geophysics to zero in on the meteor parts of the property, said Selby. That preparatory work with it ever since, whatever. Drilling results were enough to warrant the creation of Canada Nickel, a spin-off company which Selby selected last fall to advance the discovery, which is great because he's brought one to stage. Selby has familiar with Crawford from his 2001-2007 stint with Inco in a strategic planning capacity. The essay's results he viewed in 2000 looked more promising than the Western Quebec nickel project he just left that summer. So just think about that. Selby, the former president and CEO of RNC, which is renamed the Carrara Resources, shepherded by the Dumont Nickel Cobalt Project near Amos, Quebec. Amos. From an early resource stage to the world's second largest nickel reserve, fully permitted and ready for development. This is what Mark Selby had done for them. So imagine, very capable person at the helm here. That's very important. So let's go to why invest in Canadian nickel. So so this is off of their site, and they're saying why should you invest in Canada Nickel? Canada Nickel owns 100% of the Crawford Nickel Sulfide project. So it's a new nickel discovery, large-scale potential, established mining camp adjacent to existing infrastructure north of Timmins, Ontario. Updated research top 10 nickel sulfide resources globally. Initial meteorological tests demonstrate 89% of nickel is contained in nickel sulfide and nickel iron alloy minerals in a higher grade resource area. Nickel mineralization now discovered in main, east, and west zones with strike length of approximately 6 kilometers. Separate PGM zone discovered and extended 1.5 kilometer. Recent drilling discovered parallel to the east zone. Significant expansion potential. Only a fraction of flagship Crawford property tested to date. This is why. So if it's actually the size of the Russian mine in Norilsk, that's just crazy. Canada Nickel has launched a wholly owned net zero metals, and that's something that we're going to get on very soon. All right, Canada Nickel has completed a PA on Crawford. Okay, so is completing a PA on Crawford project by the end of the year. All right, this is important to know, and the feasibility study will be at the end of the 2021. So naturally, you are looking at something that's going to be taking a few years, because if the feasibility study is only coming out in 2021, then you need to look at actually drilling and building, and maybe around 2025. I don't know. I can't state dates, but but just think about it. The feasibility study comes out at the end of 2021. All right, so you're looking at a few years here, but I mean, this thing is massive. So if you're in something, if you like to put your something in for long term, naturally, if once the PA comes out and we know like companies jump on board, especially with the feasibility study coming out by end of 2021, and you get in at an inexpensive price as it is now, and they start producing billions of dollars of revenue within a 10-year time frame, it's massive, right? So think about that. Maybe put some there. Nickel has limited investable opportunities prior super cycles 2005-2015. So it's saying that every 15 to 20 years, Canada Nickel is well timed. Nickel appears to be entering a super cycle. All right. So this is the management. So let's look at this. Nickel demand, a leader among metals. So it's just telling you base metals and our metals demand compounded annual growth rate 2007-2017. So it's the stainless steel that's driving it over here, as you can see, with nickel being the second, 5%, as I stated a little earlier. Aluminum, that's in charge, leading the way. But the stainless steel industry is what's driving the nickel. So nickel demand grew a further 9.4 during 2008-2009, outpacing all other major base metals. That could be because of the fact of the electric vehicle. There was more electric vehicle. Also, stainless steel was actually driving that growth. More people demanding stainless steel. And if you look here, nickel by 2030, 1.30%. Electric vehicle, nickel demand as a percentage of 2018 nickel supply. So if you look at that, 2025, so at 5% 2020, and then for 2025, 18, 59%. This is going to be big growth. Nickel demand, EV going to multiply demand requirements. By 2025, EV plus 4% trend demand growth, slower than 5% trend, requires nearly 1 MTPA of new supply. By 2030, 2.5 million tons, basically double today is required. So we're talking about just if Tesla alone was building at their rate, they would have a hard time with the nickel. All right, so just imagine that we're talking about double the rate by, and naturally, people are just going towards the EV market. So if you look here, 2030 for the EV over here, just look at the increased growth. It's just crazy. Let's go here. So please more, yeah. So Tesla, please mine more nickel. So please mine more nickel. Tesla will give you a giant contract for a long period of time if you mine nickel efficiently and in an environmentally sensitive way. So this is important. It says everything that we're looking at for so lower grade sulfide, serpentine concentrate. This is exactly where Canadian nickel, what I was talking about, the rock formation, the serpentine rock formation. So if you look here, just that alone puts you in this range. So this is the coal powered. This is what you're talking about, the CO2 tons of nickel produced. Look at this, coal powered, like you're looking at 88 CO2 tons. I mean, this is, it's in order to just, look at the impact it's having on the environment. Now, you want to go down to a lower grade sulfide, of course, serpentine concentrate right here. I mean, for the planet at least. And naturally, the high grade of 7 is much better than the 88. So, this is what's important here. Now, look at this over here. This is the Crawford nickel. This is one of the largest nickel cobalt sulfide resources located in a well-established mining camp with infrastructure. So that's when you look at other companies and you're like, oh, there's no infrastructure. But I mean, this is a massive, or potentially be one, that's comparable to the Russian one, the Norwisk. I have to look that up in order to say it properly. But so world-class jurisdiction in Ontario, Canada, well-established Timmins mining camp with a 100-year history of mining, access to all major infrastructure, including zero carbon hydroelectricity, active permitting and development of mines, long history of downstream processing. So look at that. The Kidd Mine, Glencore is right over here, Crawford Township, and you have all that. So now the unexplored area, fuel drill holes in Inco 1960 in each large anomaly, mineral exploration 1970s, land owned by a forestry company by several decades until acquired by Noble in 2011, little outcrop of land packaged. So look at that. Significant exploration potential. There's greater than 50% Crawford remaining, plus 7 new targets. That's just incredible. They were 12th on that July, right? The document. And on the newer ones, because of the newer discoveries, they're in the 10 biggest in the world. There's more than 50% of Crawford is remaining to verify. More than 50%. Now, that, of course, when he says this could reach the size of the one in Russia, that's why. Because it's huge. It's just absolutely huge. Plus 7 new targets. Oh yeah, so I did a research on Mark Selby. Just a quick little look over here. So Noble Mineral Exploration announces creation of Canada Nickel Company, appoints Mark Selby as chairman and CEO. Mark Selby appointed chairman and CEO of Canada Nickel Company, 100% consolidation and spin-out of Crawford Nickel Cobalt Sulfide Project, fully subscribed $5 million private placement. Noble Minerals create the Canada Nickel Company, which is owned 100% from interest. The Crawford Nickel Cobalt Sulfide Project distributes a significant portion of Noble's interest in Canada Nickel to Noble shareholders and qualified accountants. So Canada Nickel will be led by Mark Selby, who will be appointed chairman and CEO. The company also announces the plan to complete a fully subscribed 5 million private placement, Canada Nickel, to fund a project. So here's Mark Selby. I am delighted to welcome Mark Selby to lead Canada Nickel through the next phases of exploration and development to unlock the massive potential of Crawford. Mark is a recognized leader in the global nickel industry, given his experience and network successfully advancing the Dumont Nickel Project, said Mr. Vance White, President and CEO of Noble. I am very proud of the team that made the Crawford nickel discovery, which is one of the few nickel discoveries in many years with large-scale potential, with the planned consolidation ores in Crawford and private placement. Mark Selby was most recently President and CEO of RNC Minerals, where he led the development of the Dumont Nickel Cobalt Project through to a fully permitted, construction-ready project. Before RNC Minerals, he held senior management roles at Quadra and Inco. So this is what I find interesting. Inco. See, my brain is always trying to link things together. Always. And that's because of my what I used to do in the past. I'm always trying to link. Like I'm creating a puzzle and putting it together, fit into pieces. He held a senior management role in Inco. Correct? Yeah. Didn't we say that Inco did holes back in the 1960s? After Glencore found their site, right? After in that Timmins area. So Inco went in and did geological survey. They did holes all over the place. But they found nothing of importance. I find this very, very odd. Because, and I think it's inside here, because it says that here we go. So the last time Crawford had such a systemic workup was in the mid-1960s. After the Kidd Creek discovery, said Selby. Inco flew airborne surveys over huge swaths of northern Ontario, charting every big magnetic anomaly, then punching 1 or 2 drill holes in each one. He held a senior position. So Selby had some familiarity with Crawford from his 2001-2007 stint with Inco in a strategic planning capacity. Strategic planning capacity. Do you understand where I'm going with this? So it says here that Inco said the results didn't amount to anything impressive. So it just sat until Noble came onto the scene. And who's his chairman and CEO of Canada Nickel Corp? Created by who? Noble? I'm thinking that Mark Selby pretty much knew what was underneath there before all of this. Is it possible that, someone made a few phone calls like in 2016 to Noble and said, hey, listen, let's make a deal. I don't know. I'm kidding. I'm cutting around. But it's just that I don't know. It's just when you look at this, it's just some pretty crazy things here. Pretty crazy things. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, isn't it weird? Yeah, so he held a senior management role at Quadra and Inco, and he is recognized as a leading authority on the nickel market. So I am pleased to lead Canada Nickel and advance Crawford, which is an exciting project coupled with the close proximity of significant infrastructure near Timmins. I believe this will allow me to leverage all the experience and insights we learned in advancing Dumont, said Mr. Selby. The timing of this discovery is excellent. Absolutely. We are in a robust nickel market, increasingly driven by demand for nickel from the electric vehicle market, which will require new nickel projects to be built over the coming decades. I am encouraged by the strong support we have received from a number of new and existing investors who have committed to $5 million financing, which will allow us to execute the next phase of drilling and metallurgical work for the project. Okay, so this was 2019, but they got more money in October, so it's not really. There's no issues when it comes to that. So let's go to this other article, which I found was important too. So in talking to Crawford Project, open-ended potential company chair and CEO Mark Selby said in October 22nd web call to investors that they're just getting started. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's more than 50% has not been with, how many drill holes did we say? 5, 7, 7, I think we said. God, people, this is like absolutely insane. Like, I don't know, man. So in Unlocking the Values project, I mean, compared it to, I mean, they were saying it's got the potential to be like the one in Russia. So the Toronto Junior Miner released an updated mineral calculation and high-grade values on Crawford's main zone on Wednesday. It places the property into the world's top 10 list of nickel sulfide projects, not including the strides they've made with recent discoveries to the east and west. Guys, not including the discoveries they've made to the east and west. And on the other article, it said that more than 50% has not even been explored with, 7 drill holes. The guy was a senior position at Inco. Inco in the 1960s did a massive geological survey, did drill holes everywhere. They know what was in there. But yeah, and Mark Selby's there, but he held a senior position there. It's a high grade. Okay, so discovery east and the west. On Thursday, the company announced a new discovery dubbed the West Zone that appears to have the same characteristics as the main zone, which is the central focus of potential open pit mine. If you go and watch, Mark Selby explains the differences between an open pit mine and deep hole mine. While there's no definite structural link between the two, Selby said earlier indications are the geological footprint of the West Zone could be conceivably larger than the main zone. That assumption is based on results viewed from 4 drill holes and better understanding of the area's mineral environment. My brain's saying the 4 drill holes and everything else that was created by Inco in the 1960s. Selby said the latest discoveries only spurs them on to keep drilling and to finish their mine technical works. We're continuing to aggressively advance the project. Selby said there are only 2 exceptional nickel projects that come along every decade, and this is one of them. It just confirms our belief that we're going to have multiple resources to feed a very large processing complex, and this discovery goes a long way towards reinforcing that. The Crawford project is 40 kilometers north of Timmins, about a 15-minute drive up the highway of 640. So it's a 15-minute drive up from the mine. 15-minute drive up. Where are you, buddy? Where are you? Here we are. Let's go and see what we can get here, right? 15-minute drive up. So here we are. So you got the 101 over here going into Timmins, all right, and then you got the 655 that's going here. Oh, here's Kid Glencore mine here, and it just go right up, and you're passing right through. And you got the Lower Sturgeon generating station right over here, and then you have the hydroelectrics. Here you go, the transmission lines here. So I mean, the infrastructure they already said it was there, right? So he calls So basically, he's saying he calls the Crawford the world's largest nickel sulfide discovery since the early 1970s. That only stands to get bigger as exploration moves to their outlying properties. So since the 1970s, and it's just going to get bigger. Well, he did compare it to the one in Russia. From the scale of the operations, we're looking at what could be one of the largest nickel mines going just on already what we have. Further bolstered by an inferred estimate of the East Zone discovered last May, and now this latest discovery to the West. Selby is confident that will be more exciting discovery to come, and what he believes is ultimately a multi-decade resource base. Is expected by years, and the amount that he was talking about producing per day. Oh, here we go. 3,500 tons per day. It would roughly take 16 years worth of production. Now, this is per day. This is massive. This is massive. All right, per day. So you got to do that. 365 times 3,500 tons per day is how many tons? How many tons? 3,500 per day times 365 days. You're looking at 1,277. 1,277,500 tons per year. That is massive, guys. That's just absolutely massive. So, I mean, if you produced half of that, you would bring up this number to, 32 years. This is huge. This is huge. I mean, do you need you need 1,270,000. How much did they say they would need around? They would need around 1 million tons. Is that what they said? They would need about 1 million tons in 2030 per year. So you telling me that this guy can produce it all himself? Is that what we're saying? I wish I just get that back up here. Let's go. How much do we say over here? Here we go. So this, by 2030, 2.5 million tons or double today is required. This is crazy. This is absolutely a massive mine. It's because we just can't, if you're not in these types of industries, you just can't, how do you put your mind on this, right? But you tell me that they alone, on what they have, can produce already half of the demand by 2030? Think about how big it is. And there's more than 50% hasn't even. So the mineral calculation, okay, so we won't go through that. We already know a whole bunch of stuff here, and you guys can read this later. Can nickel wants to attract the attention of big players in the global nickel market, is named people like Elon Musk, Tesla. Selby, a knowledgeable world expert on nickel, thinks the Crawford project is perfectly timed to meet. We already read all that. Absolutely. 2.5 million tons. We didn't have to go anywhere. It was right over here. Telby said we'll need 1 million to 1.5 million tons of nickel alone by the latter end of this decade. And the car maker has made it clear that they're looking to source it from within North America. I didn't know that he had made. Whoa, wait a minute here. Tesla, Selby said, will need 1 million to 1.5 million tons of nickel alone. So Tesla alone will need 1 to 1.5 million tons of nickel alone by the latter end of this decade. And the car maker has made it clear they're looking to source it from within North America. That I did not know. Did anybody else know that out there? That he was looking to source it from North America? I thought it was like to all nickel. If you can do it, in this manner, this way, and for this many, for long term. I didn't hear anything about North America in there. Was this a slip of the tongue? Was this not well written or something like that? How I didn't hear it was from North America. Please, in the comments below, if I'm wrong, did they say, did Elon Musk say that it was from North America? Because it says here, and the car maker has made it clear they're looking to source it from within North America. Now, I mean, is this, are they talking about United States and North America? Yeah, it could be, but looks like Canada's got these massive nickel, and it could be here. That's why we're very keen to get the PA done as soon as possible to be able to demonstrate what those economics look like. I think that they have a good opportunity here to think. After looking at all this, you look at their health. That's their balance sheet. It states over here that they don't have enough information. So I'm not even gonna bother going through most of this. Financial health is 4 checks on 6, because they don't have any debt, and they have money to move forward. But what I thought was really interesting, I think that you guys would like to see, is this over here. So look at all the shares being bought on insiders. It's absolutely insane, and it's Mark Selby. You have Mike Cox there, David Smith, but look at Mark Selby. Basically, to develop zero carbon production, nickel, cobalt, and iron. So, and net zero across several jurisdictions. A number of key technologies are being explored to establish Crawford as a zero carbon footprint operation. So this is very important too. So we viewed the press release. We were looking at some of the stuff there before. We have some of the media over here that it was on. PNN Bloomberg, CBC Radio 1. So this is some pretty big stuff. You have the milling, large-scale process of lower-grade sulfide ores utilize a significant amount of electricity. Local proximity to hydroelectricity provides potential to minimize carbon emissions. You know, the net zero carbon, the existing polymetric process. We already read all these things, but this is what it's about, okay? The position of approaches for waste rock and tailings during mining to expose the serpentine rock to air to allow. So we were talking about this before, but this is what it's under now. So it's under this net zero metals, okay, CO2. So, you know, when I put all these things together, naturally, you know, I honestly, until I look, it's definitely a big project. Infrastructure's in place. I like the whole Inco there drilling holes in the 1960s, and then the senior manager comes out and says, anyways. So I mean, naturally, you have to look for these things, and then you find them, and you go. So I believe that. Yes, we are gonna. I believe that just because I think that the Inco ones from the 1960s are telling us it. That I would love to be able to see all the Inco ones. I mean, can I do that? Can I is it public? I love to see the 1960 drill holes of Inco when they were there and they did the survey of how big of a landmass that they did, and then what did it give in the end. I would be so curious to see that. Okay, guys. So according to Resource World here. Let's go and look at the part. It's right here. Nickel mineralization in Crawford Township was originally discovered by Inco during a 1960s exploration program that covered several townships north of the Kid Creek mine. I'd love to see that. But anyways, so that's it. So naturally, huge potential. They're saying that it could be what? As big as the one in Russia, the Norilsk mine, which is absolutely ginormous. You could use that word here. It's not a word, but we'll use it anyways. So a mine like that, debt free. I mean, naturally, the money's going to be there to always keep this project going on. From what I see, you can't let a mine like this go. The infrastructure is already in place. So you don't have to build up that infrastructure. That saves a heck of a lot of time. That's huge. That alone is huge in itself. You have this much nickel, and you have all the infrastructure basically in place. You just need to drill the hole. Is it going to be an open pit or is it going to be a mine? That's basically all it's going to be. And how much do we have? Because Mark Selby's already brought one from its infancy stages and brought it to production. So it's not like he hasn't done this before. Everything's hard the first time. It's not hard the second time. Anyway, so basically, you know what? I put money into it, and of course, naturally, with the amount of research I did to be able to talk about this, I don't see anything other than the fact that how can you see something negative? How can you see any negative in this with Canada Nickel Company? It seems in my head that they're better positioned than most other companies out there when it comes to nickel. And if they're going to compare it to the one in Russia, that's massive.